Hello there my friends, hope you all are having a fantastic day right now. In this video we shall be doing a really small but fun project in Python. So let's get started. So this project is going to be about creating a watchdog which watches a specified directory in your computer and does some operation based on that. So let's look at the end result to understand what we are going to be doing. So let's look at it. So now you see the desktop and I've got two folders here, one called images and the other one is called img, and I have a picture in img, and what we are going to do is we're going to transfer this image to the desktop and see what happens. So let me put it here. So as you just saw, the image just disappeared, but let's look at what actually happened. So you see these three messages getting printed to the screen. So it says file created at desktop, that is pic.jpg, and this image is pic.jpg, and this image was created at the desktop, and immediately it was deleted from that location and created at this location, that is this folder. So to refresh this, you should see pic in images. So we are going to build something like this. So yep, let's get started. So in order to start building our watchdog, we have got to use this package called Watchdog, which is written in Python, and you need to install this package just like how you install other packages. Just go to your command prompt and hit pip install watchdog, and watchdog should get installed on your computer. And I have already got Watchdog installed, so it says requirement already satisfied. So that's that. And yep, once you have installed Watchdog, you can import it into your program and check if it works. So for this program, we will be using two classes from Watchdog called events and observers. So let's import these two. So import watchdog.events and import watchdog.observers. And if you don't want to blindly follow whatever I say in this video, you could have a look at the documentation of Watchdog, which I'll be attaching in the description below, and you can have a look at that. So first, we will be building a class called handler. And what handler does is it handles the events that are detected by the watchdog. And by events, we mean the creation of a file, the deletion of a file, or modification of a file, or something on the lines of that. So class handler like that. And this handler class which we are creating is not a new class of its own, but it is a class which inherits from the class present in Watchdog module called the pattern matching event handler. And it tries to watch the directory which we specify based on the pattern that we pass into it. So that's what pattern matching event handler will do for us. And this pattern matching event handler also inherits from a base class called file system event handler. And file system event handler has a lot of methods which we can make use of, and that's why we are interested in this pattern matching event handler. So let's write pattern matching event handler over here, and this class will have an init method. So self will be an argument, and yep, for now self is sufficient. And inside the init method of handler class, we are going to call the init method of the pattern matching event handler class. Okay, here you have to include watchdogs dot events because that's where we can find this class. So yeah, and here we'll init pattern matching event handler. So the init method of this pattern matching event handler takes four arguments. The first parameter will be patterns, and patterns takes a list of strings, and these strings are the patterns that we want the watchdog to observe. For example, let's say we want to observe only text files, then we would include only those strings ending with .txt. And if you want image files, then .png or .jpg. So these are the patterns that we want our watchdog to look at. So let's initialize this to a string. So let's say we want the watchdog to look at only text files for now. So I'm going to write star.txt, and this star means anything can be before this .txt, and that would be a text file. So that's what this star means. The second parameter is ignore patterns, and this is used to specify if we want to ignore any patterns. For now, we don't want to ignore any patterns, so we'll just leave it at none. The third parameter is ignore directories. So we don't want to ignore any directories for now, so let's keep it at false. And the last one is case sensitive, and I'm going to set it to true because I want the watchdog to approach file names in a case sensitive manner. So that is the init function. And yep, next we will have certain functions in our handler class, and these functions are again functions which are inherited by the pattern matching event handler from the file system event handler class, if you remember. So from that we are getting those functions to our handler class that we are defining. So these functions are already defined, and now we are going to be overriding these functions. And by overriding, I mean we are going to write our own function definition, and this function definition is what is going to get executed. So we are overwriting those function definitions. So I'm going to take only two of these functions from the pattern matching event handler class. So these two are on created and on deleted. So we are going to write the definitions of these two functions, and let's first start with the onCreated function. So it takes self as an argument, and another argument that it takes is the event. And an event, as I have mentioned before, is anything that happens like creation or deletion or stuff like that. And this parameter event right here carries information about what actually happened, and this information is important to us, which you will look at in a few minutes. So now that's done, we can write our definition. So for now, let us just write the print statement. So this print statement is just going to print what actually happened. So when this method is called, then it means that there has been a creation of a file at the specified location. So file was created at, and what's the path? This is where the event comes into the picture. The path is an important information that the event carries. So we are going to use this path to print the path over here. So we'll just be writing event dot src path. So this is the path that is stored by event, and we are directly going to print that. And if we are going to do that, we have to include this f here because it's a formatted string. So that's what onCreated is going to do. And onDeleted is a similar function, and this takes self and event as arguments too. And we are going to just do the same thing again, except that we shall be printing file was deleted. Yep, that's it. So that's basically the end of this class. That's what this class is going to do. And now we have successfully used the watchdog.events, which we just imported, to create our handler class. Now we have got to create an instance of this handler class. So I'm going to call my object as event handler, and this is an instance of the handler class. That's it. That's our event handler right there. And now we have to create our observer, the main part of the program. And this observer is the watchdog, which is going to actually look at the directories and pass on information to the handler, and the handler decides on what is to be done. So our observer is an instance of the class that is present in watchdog.observers, and we have just got to create the instance. So I'm going to call it observer and observers dot observer. So this is the observer class, and our variable observer is an instance of this class. So first we will have to link the handler and our observer so that they work in tandem. For that we will be using a method called observer.schedule. And the schedule method takes three arguments, the first one being an instance of the handler, and that is event handler right here. So just copy that and paste it. The second parameter that schedule takes is the path where it has to observe, and I want the observer to look at the desktop, so I'll just include the path to the desktop. So that is C users, like that, and make sure that you include R at the beginning so that it specifies that this is a raw string and these slashes are treated as double backslashes. So that's our path. And the third argument is recursive. It checks if the observer has to observe in the subdirectories and the directories inside those directories and so on. And for now, we don't want to check inside directories, so let's leave it at false. So that's that. We have linked the observers, and now we just need to start the observer and observer.join. And observer.join helps in stopping or ending the current thread. So that's the first phase of the program right there, and now we need to just run this and check if it works. But before that, let me see if everything is proper. So that's not Watchdogs, that is Watchdog. So make sure that you write the name of the package correctly. Oh, there should be init here because that is the function that we are calling. Yep, I guess that's that. And let's run this and check it out. So it's running. Here we are in the desktop, and let me create a file. That is a text file, and you see this getting printed. File was created at desktop, new document dot txt, and that works. Now let us try deleting this. So yep, file was deleted at C users new document. So now we can proceed to the next phase in our development of this program.